my friends, I'm the Tsar of Russia. Today I am talking about technology. You know, it is that when you're listening to a German or a French or a Western or an English or an American speaking, you always know what they are going to tell you because they're pretty boring individuals. You know, even the Dutch people, when they are vandals, they were pretty interesting individuals. They rape, they destroy everything, but especially the raping part was good. But they did not. They were not as boring as and predictable as they are now in the capitalist age. There was a good of the internet in Romania, you know, in the 1990s. When very well Dark Lord told me we have to the internet business now because I wanted to start a computer business. Those days, a business which will build and sell computers. But he said, no, my friends, this is dead. Now all we had to do is to buy a router and a few switches and spread the internet around. And they did that. There were many firms in the neighborhood, you know, many so-called neighborhood enterprises. They were just guys like you and me. They bought a modem which stands from modulator, demodulator, and then a router. And through the router there are several cables, and they stretch a cable from the cable to the modem, another short cable from the modem to the router, and another several cable to several switches. The switches were expensive, pretty expensive, $100 or $200 each. And from the switches, a lot of cables went in all over direction, all over the neighborhood. All those communist old blocks were drilled with holes, and there were tons of cable companies spreading around the internet. And there was the age of DC++ and strong DC++, and everything was shared. All the movies, all the sex scenes, all the porn, all the bomb manufacturer. I have learned those days how to make a nuclear bomb. I took my first recipe for a nuclear bomb from the Lord Nick here, Zorilor. There were many people specialized in making chemical bombs, biological bombs, nuclear bombs, other types of bombs. They were truly interesting terrorists. But unfortunately, some firm called LS or HS or others spread it like wildfire and combusted all those small firms in the 2000, and they all disappeared into the wild. So no longer shouting, "Brother, what are you doing? You are eating my cable. Cut down that that download now because I cannot put anything on my server." It was said in those days, one day will come and all processors will be dual core, and every man, woman, and child will have a server in their home, and because their personal computer, their desktop computer will be much more powerful than the servers that we use today. But then this wise Dark Lord told me, it is true, but then you will not be allowed to act in this manner. And in fact, in the 2000, our communist government came in with a lot of restricting laws which says, you're not allowed to set your cables on the telegraph post because you break the artistical impression of those old communist flats and communist telegraph posts, and besides, the guys who are erecting the telegraph posts are going to be upset, and so on and so forth. So they banned this thing, and the golden age of internet ended. But Romania is still number one at downloading speed or uploading speed. Not many people recognize this. There's a lot of fiber now, fiber optics. I remember that the first fiber optic lines were inaugurated in the 1990s, and it was by the SRJS and the other firms in the area here in Cluj. So this was the golden age. Now we have the golden age of tablets. ARM is the new king of the hill. The strong arm, the left arm, or the right arm. Which one of them? Anyway, the ARM processor performance grew 4,000% or 40 times in the last years between 2007 and 2013. While the Intel and AMD performance only grew by about 50%. So now we have dual-core, quad-cores, even 8-core telephones and tablets. There are many articles at ZDNet and others which ask, do you really need an octa-core processors in those tablets and phones? And the answer is, of course, yes, we do, because I need to watch 8 movies on my little phone at the same time. And I was yesterday to buy a tablet, and they had very nice plans. You could buy with 4 lines, a quad-core tablet. 4 lines is about $10. So with $10 and the Vodafone plan, which costs 15 euros per month for 15 gigabytes of traffic, mobile traffic at 100 megabytes per second speed, but then they limit you down to 250 kilobytes per second. So it is pretty expensive. It costs 105 lines per month, so 15 euros plus VAT per month. The tablet itself is a quad core with 1 gigabyte of DDR3 RAM and 16 gigabytes of storage, or 8 gigabytes of storage plus 32 gigabytes of external card, SDHC external card of memory, of flash memory. And it was much better than an iPad, which costs 4,000 lions, which is 100 times more. So with $10 I can buy a quad-core tablet these days. $10, or 10 euros. 10 euros. So it is very advantageous. I just scroll with my little finger, from right to left, from right to right, and I point, and then there's the screen is IPS. It has great viewing angles and so on, and I can have many games like Riptide GL and other games which in the past were only made for PC, like Diablo 3 or the like, which now run perfectly on a tablet. But the time will come, because many people at Ars Technica say, oh, you will no longer need PCs, like they said 20 years ago, no one will need servers. People in the banks will use a desktop PC to run. But I can have a bank at my home. I can buy a color printer and start printing money. I can also make a web page and say, hey, here come at the Lushang, and I will grant you some loans, with 10% interest, 5% interest, I will multiply the money. And in the wild period of the 1990s in Romania, you could do that. If you're 40 or 50 years old, anyone could start a bank, a popular bank. There were no regulations. Anyone could start printing money, or printing money in some sense, because the banks print money because they simply multiply the money which they receive as deposits through the fractional lending scheme. So if the fraction is 16%, or you are required by the National Bank of Romania to keep 16% of all the money in the bank, that means if I have 100 lions, I can lend 6 times more, 600 lions, and then the people will pay me back those 600 lions, I can loan 3,600 lions, and so on. You can multiply the money in a very short time period if you make a bank. The best way to make money is to start a bank. But you know, there are many regulations now. You say, no, you cannot, only if you're a millionaire or a billionaire you can start a bank. Just like I said, no, you cannot use your desktop PC as a server. You must have, special skills, and you must work there and so on and so forth. You might hire an accountant and so on. And this is how it works. It will come a time when, yes, the phones and the tablets will be good enough to replace PCs, but there will be a lot of regulation and laws which will say, oh, you are not allowed to do this, because society is working this way, always trying to keep progress in chains. If the golden age of the internet had continued in Romania, there were no laws regarding this. It should be a special law in Romania saying the government shall not make any laws, like they made an absurd law some weeks ago, saying that everyone which sells SIM cards for telephones must register everyone who buys those cards. So if I go at a zero in the night, or some at $2,300 to buy a SIM card, I cannot, because the seller must register me and ask for my ID card. And also the people who have hotspots, who have Wi-Fi hotspots, must register everyone who is using those hotspots. Imagine you go into a cafeteria, and people there require you, if you have a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop with you, they automatically presume that you can enter into the internet from the network, and they say, oh, please give me your name and IP and so on. So these laws cannot be applied. The world is moving towards freedom, towards, we already have on Linux, there is a Linux distribution called Artist X, and you have Blender and OpenShot and Kdenlive and other tools. There you have hundreds or thousands of tools which will cost millions of dollars on Windows, and Windows is awfully slow. Someone was comparing the new Surface to your Surface, and said, oh, it takes an awfully long time on a dual core or quad core tablet for the picture to flip when you turn the tablet around 90 degrees, while on an Android or Linux tablet this happens instantly. And all my problems with my computer were cured when I formatted my old hard drive, 1 terabyte hard drive. I no longer have any problems with it. I have formatted it, installed some Linux on the whole 1 terabyte, and now it works beautifully. I no longer watch the World Championships of football, the World Cup, but this is a small price to pay for independence. And besides, on Godlike Productions, it is well said that if you are truly a conspirationist, you must not use Windows or Mac OS, because they spy on you. You must use Linux. And the total repository size for Zorin OS for Ubuntu is about 453 gigabytes, which means about 43,000 applications, which includes games development, scientific, radar. You can track satellites, and you can open the synaptic package, and managers select all those unstable and testing sources, the distribution, and install them all. Of course, after that, the menu will get clunky, and it will take a very long time to find out a specific program that you need to open. But this is a very small price to pay for progress. I can make a live Blu-ray distribution or distro from selecting a few applications. Actually, I can make a live DVD from Gentoo Linux, but if I have those LG and Asus Blu-ray writers, I can make my own Blu-ray distro. So this is it, how the world works, folks. Do not be intimidated. Always do the right thing and the wrong thing.